Hello, this is gonna be a new series of sorts. I wanted to talk today about game design, specifically in what I would like to call just threshold or anticipation. Just as an example, I'm gonna use Minecraft. Minecraft, in 2016 they rolled out the combat update. As a kid, I thought that kind of meant a focus on combat for the ongoing future. Because before the combat update, all combat was instant, as in when you clicked, it hit whatever was in front of you instantly. If enemies got within a radius of you, they would hit you immediately. There was no animation on the enemy side. It was all pretty bare bones, and I was fine with it being that way. I never thought of Minecraft being very combat focused anyways, but they were working on a combat update, so I thought, hey, it would be kind of interesting if this game was more combat focused. And, getting into a fight in a cave was actually something, interesting. It was a little scuffle. So, once they started working on that, I was kind of hyped. There was a little beta testing stuff, the combat tests. Once that update was rolled out and I actually tried it, I mostly thought since that update they would have added more weapons, they would have reworked the enemies. I thought a lot more was going to happen in terms of combat. 10 years later, none of that has happened. So what the game is now is, I think, a very special study on game design, and what a perfect bad example of what I was calling threshold or anticipation is. So this is 1.9.3. It's right around when the combat update happened. A lot of people were very against this update because of, I think mostly just because it was different. I wasn't totally against it for that reason. I think it was very much just the fact that it didn't feel finished. It felt very underbaked. Could honestly be said about a lot of things with this game in terms of threshold and anticipation, is like movement, beds, being able to sleep. I think the hunger system was in a good direction, but it just didn't really pay off exactly how I think it should have. For anyone wondering where I am right now in terms of my own game development, I would like to describe it as homeless. I got somewhere to go, it's Roblox, but it's not my favorite place to be. Hasn't for a while, but I think recent events really were the last straws. I'm kind of really done. I think the direction the platform has been going in has been just the antithesis of breaking the mold. Like, it's very difficult. They've been crunching down on that for a while. Like, I've always used Roblox for its easy multiplayer, but that's getting to become worse and worse. The player base has become pretty bad. In terms of features, they've also been just kind of cracking down on making anything original. The chat system, you can't make a custom chat system. I don't know, they're pretty terrible netcode. You gotta make your own because the replication is really delayed. I blabber on here for a while about a bunch of random things. I honestly haven't really fully processed just the time investment, and I can't really find an easy way to explain how much of a waste of time and how late my leaving has been. It's a lot, but you can do something on any other game engine, and it's relatively straightforward. But if you try to do that in Roblox, it's a confusing path of circumventing weird physics issues and using systems that are not at all meant to be used in that way, that aren't even finished. It is just not. It's not the place to make an actual game. If you want to make anything on Roblox, use the little Roblox controller, embrace rigid, terrible controls, and do not flourish past that. If you try, it will not. It just won't be right. It won't feel good. I might have extremely high standards for myself and what I make, but I just see that as I'm above this awful platform. I'm done with it. Yeah, I'm not going to ramble on that for long in this. It isn't the point of the video. Just wanted to mention that because I'm sure people are wondering. I've been kind of radio silent in my server and stuff for a while. But yeah, in terms of anticipation and threshold, the water is one of the changes that I think is a good example of what I was talking about. Water used to work like this. It was kind of just really slow. Like, you kind of avoided water. And I like this a lot more because it, first off, as a kid, made me kind of scared of water. It second made it not an option to run away from things easily. Just in general, it was not as safe as a place as it is now. I mean, water now is very much just, if you have any enemies chasing after you, go through some water, they're basically gone. Place on a water bucket, just can't get you. Alright, we're coming up on nighttime. Now, during the day and waiting to night, the transition of that and kind of seeing the world transform and seeing the monsters come out. Now that I'm here, I have to kind of fend for myself. Now, as a kid, I would probably have just dug into the wall and created a little hole. So I'll do that now. Make sure that creeper doesn't get ideas. I think I'm near a cave. The XP system, another underbaked combat and tool-focused thing that I think really just messed up the game. So, waiting in my house, it's kind of, you can find it boring. That was what fighting an enemy looks like. Jump and click 3 times. Here's a skeleton. They're a little weaker than they are in modern. But I can be right up in its face, and it will shoot me point blank. It takes 3 hits to kill a skeleton, so the time it takes for them to draw their bow, if you're kind of in a no-cover battle with one of these... Watch me miss multiple shots here. One of my biggest issues with the combat update is, you know, swings with weapons are still infinitely thin. They can sweep across, but you need to hit that infinitely thin raycast to actually hurt something. It can miss if you hit grass. I think they kind of fixed that in some later updates, but not completely. I distinctly remember later versions seeing people use like the two block roses to block hits. Sorry. With one of those skeletons, you're kind of going to get a shot in the face no matter what you do. Unless you kind of awkwardly run away and run back. But it's just not fun. Like, that's basically what you do with a creeper. Most of everything takes about 3 hits. Yeah, it's not a very broad combat update. A lot of the combat stuff they tested with PvP. That a lot of people consider botched because, you know, there's shields, and since it's instant hitting and stuff, anticipating the threshold of anything happening is kind of impossible. You know that when someone's near you and their bar thing is full, they will try to hit, but you will not see the hit coming. You just have to try and avoid it if it happens by predicting when it'll happen. Which I think just isn't really the dance of combat. You can't really react to something that's instant. Like, you don't see a hand raise with a sword, or you don't see that hand then lower, and you don't see zombies raise their hand to hit you. Skeletons draw back their bow and hold it there for as long as they are aware of you after they see you. Alright, while I build this thing, I'm gonna do a little demo of, I guess, just example A and B of what threshold does to combat and how anticipation can make it much more of an engaging experience. So in this first example, you'll see the blue guy's you and the red guy's an enemy. Once you round that corner, the red guy, because he can see you and you're in his attack distance, you're hit. Now in the second example, we'll introduce some new game mechanics. So now, to attack, you need to ready, and then attack, and then there's a period afterwards where you can't attack. So you'll see that I'll round the corner, the enemy will do his attack, I'll dodge it, and then I'll prime my attack to hit him during the period in which he can't attack. And now that has given me opportunity to react to what's happening. So Alright, so in this example, step over here, I could peek this corner. No matter what I really tried to do here, if I didn't see him coming, he basically instantly hit me. I'll block that, just so we can't see him coming. We basically saw the corner of his arm and that was it. Having an instant attack really makes cramped, dark areas very impossible to navigate carefully, just because of the nature of how these enemies fight. We'll place a skeleton down. Draw their bow. And you can see that was him shooting. It even shoots so fast that it hits the wall. Nope. And then comes the players. The players that are okay with this stuff is something that bothers me more than the fact that it's like this in the first place. Like, they'd probably just say, well, don't peek corners like that. You know, just don't get in that situation. The fun of an adventure game... Gonna interrupt that rant. So, whenever that problem's addressed by, like, modders, it's never really fully addressed or fixed. Like, I've seen full animation overhauls that look great, but they don't change any of the actual mechanics, which is kind of like polishing a turd. Combat overhauls that just make you completely stop moving and do this huge programmed attack for everything, which I think is what the combat update did, but like tenfold. The whole fix that I'm suggesting is that you're supposed to apply the rules to everything.
A greater weakness on one side is a greater strength on the other.
I mean, this gets way worse when we're talking about, you know, poison and wither enemies. If you're in, like, a nether fortress, and because there are some open areas and you might not have seen a wither skeleton get angry at you, you will get rounded on corners and get wither damage for, like, half your health. This is something I've talked about a lot with people, but, I'll bit the bullet to make something like this because of, just Hightail releasing, and played a bit of it, and one of the first things I noticed was like, hey wait, everything has like, you know, is animated, and the animation has to do with what happens in gameplay. Like, the weapons do things other than just hit stuff. Like, it's fair to assume that Minecraft is not about combat, but they're not adding much content, period. And when they did try to tackle combat, it just made the game worse. So, what is the point of the game? I mean, you can mainly say, like, creativity, but I don't really see much of a point in a survival mode with creative aspects if there's nothing to be creative about, other than just building. Like, you know, in other games, like, you got tanning racks and all these things. Like, you could probably make a building about all those things, like tanning racks, so they take time, and it's a facility. But in Minecraft, you got crafting table, which is just kind of a thing on its own. I mean, there's the enchantment table, but 10-minute off-topic rant. Thank you for watching.